All right, my friends, here we are in Miron, and was trying desperately to get the original code to work for the for our daily meeting, and it didn't work. So now you're watching, I hope, a recording of what I just did today. Okay, here I am in Miron, the holy city of Miron. In just a couple of hours is going to be the great rejoicing and the passing away of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was the author of the book, the Zohar. And with this, he revealed the inside of the Torah. We talked about this a little earlier. So let's go into a little bit more detail. Ready? This is a Sichot of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, a Sichot of the Lubavitcher Rebbe that he said when about almost 70 years ago. Let's see, can we find the place where it is? Let's see where it is. I didn't have a chance to look. All right, we'll find out. Anyway, this is a Sichot that the Rebbe said years ago, and it's talking about Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, who passed away 1,800 years ago. See, as you do, it's known as the time for the Simcha, the joy of Lag BaOmer, while in them, because in that day, let's see if I'm tuned in here. Yes. In Lag BaOmer, in them tug, in that day was the passing away of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And the time when he passed away was included and elevated all of the service which he served his whole life, serving God. Now, there's usually people, they're devoted to music, and some people are devoted to mathematics, and some people are devoted to their country, but not every moment of their lives. And not only that, music is wonderful, and your country is also very nice, very wonderful, and being a doctor is wonderful. But that's only part of the creation. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was devoted to the Creator all of the days of his life. And believe it or not, the Creator also has demands. The Creator has needs, just like your country has needs, and music, right? In music, you can always complete yourself, be more complete in music, reveal more music and reveal more mathematics and reveal more. So, and in that you make great the name of music. Music becomes a very, very important thing, and mathematics becomes important, etc. So it's the same thing about God. The job of the Jewish people is to make God big. As people have religions, they want to make their religion big, and they want to have more and more people. The thing of Judaism is not to make Judaism big; it's to make God big. And in fact, Judaism very much discourages the idea of converts. Only people who are really, really genuinely not concerned with themselves, with their own welfare, but only with what God wants, those people are accepted to be converts in Judaism. And they tell a person that's going to be a convert, you're going to suffer, and it's going to be bad, and you're going to have all these restrictions, and why do it? What do you have to, now you can, if you want to light a light, you're going to light a light on Shabbat, it's punishable by death. That's ridiculous. What do you want to be a Jew for? The person says, that's what I want. Okay, so that's what a Jew is. In other words, revealing God to the world. It's very rare that you find a person that his whole life is only devoted to God. Maybe there's people that think that they are, but to actually be doing it. And Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was one of them. He was devoted every moment of his life to God. And not only that, he taught us how to do it. That's the whole thing. In this book, the Zohar, he taught us how to be devoted every moment of our lives to the Creator of the universe. Okay, so let's just look at this footnote over here. It says there are many reasons which were given for the joy of Lag BaOmer and its great rejoicing. But anyway, all we have is what the Arizal says. The Arizal was Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. He was a great Kabbalist of like 400 years ago. He was like the father of all modern Kabbalah. And it's brought also in a lot of times of Maimonim that on this day of the passing of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, it's called the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon. It's like the happy day. Hilula is a wedding. It's like a wedding day. This is it's a wedding day of, in other words, this is the day when Rabbi Shimon arranged the marriage between God and the world. That's the marriage day. And there's a book which is called Mishnas Hasidim, and it's brought over there that on the day Lag BaOmer, there's a commandment to be very, very happy and the joy of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And this Mishnas Hasidim, it doesn't, all it does is write down the words of the Arizal. And they're bought, and the first Rebbe Chabad brings that down. You should say another place, Pri Eitz Chaim, and the Shar of Sfirat HaOmer. Pri Eitz Chaim is another book by the Arizal, also by the Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. And it's also said that the reason of the joy, and he says, what is the joy? Because we're rejoicing, the rejoicing of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And this already answers the different Pebbe Chasim Sofer and the others that talk about, right? It says over there, the Chasim Sofer, and there's others that say that people used to go up to Miron, that's where I am now, where the place where Rabbi Shimon is buried, and they used to throw their precious garments into the fire. And there's a whole question if you're allowed to do that, to burn precious things, if it's not what's called Baal Tashchit. In any case, that shows them the great rejoicing that they had. Therefore, the Rebbe Shimon, at the time when he passed away, when he was elevated to this tremendously high level, he said, B'chad katirat katarna, I am tied to God with one knot. I am unified with God. I am flaming up with God. Het zich verbunden in a his kashrus nitzchis. He was attached to a God in an eternal bind. Mitten Eberster with God. Chaya Chaim, the God is the source of all life. And therefore, when he was passing away, he said, Kisham tzivas Hashem abracha, Chayim ad olam. And he said, he didn't finish this holy, brilliant light, the Rebbe Shimon, didn't finish to say the word Chayim, and he passed away. In other words, every single moment that his soul was in his body, he used his body and his soul and his mind and his heart to serve the creator of the universe, to the point where the last word that he said was the word life from a pasuk. Kisham tzivas Hashem abracha chayim ad olam. It's a pasuk in Psalms, one of the Shir HaShirim, one of the Shir HaMalot. Unval the aliyah from Yom Estalkos, because this elevation that he had on that day, and just like everything in Judaism, every anniversary of that day in the year opens up a window to the eternalness. It says, "Is niskrin v'nasim." When we remember those days, it actually happens. Zeivelen Ebergechazert. The revelations return every year on the same day. Therefore, every year in Lag BaOmer, it is a great joy because that's the day when Rabbi Shimon revealed this great light. Let's take first an example in the Holy Temple. What was the Holy Temple? The Holy Temple, people would go up 3 times in the year and they would come back happy. Moadim l'simcha, v'samachta b'chagecha. They had to be happy. They would go up to their Holy Temple, they would be happy. Why would they be happy? Because they felt that they were creations. They felt God was creating them. They felt it. They saw it. It says, Bodli Rose, they would see that God is creating them. How they would see, I don't know, but it says they would see everybody. And they would feel that God is creating them. And when a person feels that he's a creation and that he's important, God himself, the creator of the universe, is creating me every second. So I'm not just here, about a candle in the wind or something. I'm here because God really wants me to be here. Not just me, every human being is here. So therefore, when you feel this, it's a tremendous happiness. Well, usually we don't feel it. But on Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, he brought the Zohar into the world so that we could feel it. And that's why it's a happy day. When he passed away, he got the biggest revelations of godliness. That's when he wrote the biggest secrets in the Torah. In the Zohar, it says in the Gemara Yerushalmi that when Rabbi Akiva had a lot of pupils, right? So Rabbi Akiva had, one of his pupils was Rabbi Meir, and another one was Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. As Rabbi Akiva, he gave ordination, rabbinical ordination to his pupil Rabbi Meir. And he also gave it to Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai. So he said Rebbe Meir should sit first. Rebbe Meir is a Zutzen the Erster. Rebbe Meir should have a higher position than Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai. That's what he said, should have a higher position. As Niskarkamu Penei Rebbe Shimon. The Rebbe Shimon, he became tremendously disappointed because Rebbe Shimon knew his level, and he knew Rebbe Akiva's level, and he knew the level of Rebbe Meir. And even though the Rebbe Meir was a tremendously holy person, it says nobody could understand the depths of his knowledge, but Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai, he knew that he was of a much higher level than Rebbe Meir. Rebbe Meir did not write all these, why? Because Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai was one of the few, if not the only one, Rebbe Akiva also to a certain degree, but not to the degree of Rebbe Shimon, that he also was a genius and a master of the written Torah and the laws like Rebbe Meir was, but he was also a master of the secrets of the Torah, which Rebbe Meir was not. So he knew that he was greater than Rebbe Meir. And he knew that Rebbe Akiva knew what he was talking about. It couldn't be that Rebbe Akiva didn't appreciate him. But somehow or other, he figured maybe that's what happened. So Rebbe Akiva says, "Refar trunkel to kaveren the panim shel Rebbe Shimon." That his face became very, how do you say, dismayed. Hatim Rebbe Akiva Gazak. Rebbe Akiva said to him, "Dayach sha'ani v'borech makirim kochech." It's enough for you that me and God know how great you are. Other people don't have to know. Let Rebbe Meir doesn't have to know. Let him sit first. What do you care? See, and it really didn't care. Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai, he did not care that someone else was before him. It wasn't a race or a competition. But he just wondered why Rebbe Akiva did not recognize his potential. It was a big enigma to him. So Rebbe Akiva said, I do recognize it, and it's enough that me and God recognize. I don't have to advertise it. She is dear Ganug, it's enough for you to die in B'Shefer, that your creator would know how great you are. In other words, this means, as the koach, the power from Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was so great that even the pupils of Rabbi Akiva couldn't reach there. Right? Rabbi Meir himself didn't know how great Rabbi Akiva was. Vegan Rabbi Meir, by Rabbi Meir, it says in the Gemara, Shalo yachlu chaverav la'amod al sav data. It says Rabbi Meir was so great that none of the other Tanaim could understand it. As the Chachamim haben sich nicht gekannt, dar grunter wären. They could not grasp him to their tiefkeit because of the deep depth of Rabbi Meir's knowledge. But from Deswegen, nevertheless, haben sie verstanden, they understood the greatness of Rabbi Meir so much as he should have been first, right? It says they couldn't understand, it was so deep, they couldn't understand it, but they understood that he should be number one. Masha Enkin, which is not the case of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, his power was so great. Haben sie unafilu Rabbi Meir, they and Rabbi Meir, none of them understood how great Rabbi Shimon was. In other words, Rabbi Meir was above their understanding, but at least they understood that he was infinitely greater than them. And Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was so much greater than Rabbi Meir that no one, even Rabbi Meir, could grasp it. Only Rabbi Akiva. Only Rabbi Akiva and God can recognize. No, Rabbi Akiva was kamavur, like it says in Chassidus, that the service of Rabbi Akiva was even greater than Nadav and Avihu. Nadav and Avihu, we said, were the two sons of Aaron, that their devotion to God was so great that their souls actually left their bodies. But Rabbi Akiva was greater. It says he went in peace and he came out in peace. Oivem and Eshtei, like it says, Benogea dem Inyan from Asaras Harugi Malchus, that by Rabbi Akiva, he was one of the 10 that was killed by the Romans, as is Keneged HaKodesh Baruch Hu. It says that Rabbi Akiva, he corresponded to God. Ani Rabbi Akiva, and your creator know how great you are. So in other words, Rabbi Akiva, he could understand how great Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was, but to that degree, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was even greater. According to this, Vibalta Zafilu, even in his life when he was in this world, Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai was incomparably higher to anybody else in his generation. And we're talking about the Tanaim. Like we said before, the Tanaim had the power to raise the dead, each and every one of them. And there were stories, the pupils of Rebbe Yehuda Nasi, is doch verstandet, is understood how great was Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. And on the day that Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai passed away, he said this was the greatest and the highest day of his life. So now we can understand how great was this day that he passed away on Lag BaOmer, how happy we should be on this day. This is even higher than all of the other days and all the other revelations and levels that Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai had reached. It's said that there was one of the pupils of the Arizal that he used to say the prayer Nachem Hashem in Birchas HaMazon. He used to say in Birchas HaMazon. And the Rebbe brings another place that it wasn't Birchas HaMazon. From then Lashon HaSipur, it seems that he used to say Nachem in Birchas HaMazon, they used to say Nachem even on Shabbos and on Yom Tov. 13. Yeah. I read a letter by the Rebbe just now that he said that it's not so. He's quoting the Shulchan Aruch, the Arizal, and he says that it seems that it's a misprint. In any case, he used to say this prayer Nachem. What is this prayer Nachem? The prayer Nachem is a prayer that is mourning for the Holy Temple. And it says, we say it in the blessing after eating, and we also say in the prayers, in the Mincha prayer of Tisha B'Av, and also, I'm sorry, it's not said in Birchas HaMazon. What am I talking about? You don't eat on Tisha B'Av. You don't eat on Tisha B'Av. This prayer is said in Bonei Yerushalayim, in the prayer of Tisha B'Av, in the Shmona Esrei. And he used to say this every day. Here he writes, the Rebbe writes, he used to say it in Birchas HaMazon. Okay, that's what he said anyway. It's like I said, I just read today a letter that the Rebbe said this. In any case, so this prayer, it's according to that, he would say it even on Shabbos and on Yom Tov. But he, on Lag BaOmer, when he came to Meron, he also said this prayer, this mourning prayer of sadness of the destruction of the temple. Says Rebbe, it says that he was one of the pupils of the Arizal, so he was a very holy man. Well, he said this prayer of mourning of the temple because even then he was mourning for the temple. Destruction of the temple is a terrible thing, right? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai got mad and he came to the Arizal and he said, because one of your pupils was in mourning on my joy, so therefore he's going to have a real reason to mourn, and something bad happened to him. The explanation is like this. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was one of the souls that was not affected by the destruction of the temple. So therefore, there was no place that he had to mourn for the temple. Okay, what does this mean? I mean, the temple was destroyed. What Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai didn't know was destroyed. What do you mean? He wasn't sad because the temple was destroyed. So what does it mean? I mean, of course he was sad. The temple was destroyed. The whole Jewish people are suffering. But there was a purpose for the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple wasn't just a central building in Judaism that, the Jewish people could call it their identity. This is our, the capital, what is it? A monument, the Eiffel Tower or something like that. The Holy Temple was a place where there was the same revelation as in Mount Sinai. What was in the Holy Temple? The tablets that were given on Mount Sinai. So there was a revelation of the creator of the universe. Like I said before, you went to the Holy Temple, you would feel that there's a creation, that there's a creator. All of a sudden, everything made sense. And you felt that this creator wants us to serve him. That's why he's creating us. And they felt it every single second. Right? That was the sin of the golden calf and the sin that Adam ate from the tree, and it was fortified. What was the feeling of yourself? Before that, everybody felt God. They felt the creator. And as soon as Adam ate from the tree, as he didn't feel the creator anymore, he just felt himself. And the Jews were given another chance when they got the Torah, and the same thing happened. They just started feeling themselves, feeling egotism. Well, once Jews would go to the temple, they wouldn't feel themselves anymore. They would feel the creator. They would feel God is creating them, feel happy. Right? I mean, have you ever been to a concert or orchestra? All the musicians are playing. Nobody waves to their mother. Nobody plays what they want to. You go to a professional sports, basketball game or football game, everybody does exactly what they're supposed to. That's when they're successful. Then everybody's happy. And they're full with energy, right? If somebody takes the ball and runs with the wrong way, right? Then, I mean, I know maybe it's a joke, but it's terrible. So it's the same thing. Everybody to feel that there's a creator that's creating them and they're creating for them a purpose. That's the way Adam was in the first temple. That's why the Torah was given. But as soon as the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, then it became a big ego trip. Everybody nowadays, like all the other religions, they just think about going to heaven and going to heaven and heaven and heaven and heaven. They're going crazy about heaven. It's all a big super ego trip. Just what's going to be with me and I and I and me. And what does God want? Then they make it up. God wants me to go to heaven. But Rebbe Shimon, he was so devoted to Hashem, so devoted to God, that by him, the temple wasn't destroyed. Of course, he wanted there to be a temple so he could do the commandments, right? But nevertheless, the revelation from the temple, the feeling of God, that was there, even though the temple was destroyed. So therefore, in the day of the Tisha B'Av, in the morning of the temple, so everybody else can mourn because the temple isn't there, but Rebbe Shimon not. Zedman, we can see two things. Number one, as he has done in for Lag BaOmer, which is not found in any other day, not even in Shabbat or Yom Tov have this day. And what's the proof? That this pupil of the Arizal, he was punished because he said this prayer of sadness, of mourning in the holiday of Lag BaOmer. But the other days when he would say it, according to here, he said it on Shabbos, the other Yom Tov days, other days, he wasn't punished. He wasn't punished on the other days of happiness, Rosh Chodesh. And the joy from the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is for, number one, we see that it's also for all the Jews. I mean, this person, this Rabbi Avram Alevi, he could say, okay, by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he didn't feel the exile, but I do feel the exile. So what's wrong with me mourning? Says you could say it every day, but not on the day of Rabbi Shimon's passing away. Why? Because the revelation of Rabbi Shimon that was above the destruction, this was for every Jew and for everyone. Afilu der versus nidhecher, even though the people that are not higher than the destruction of the temple, which they do feel the exile, the galus of. Therefore, every day when he would say this prayer, Nachum, he would therefore he said Nachum every day because he was in mourning. But he also, even this person that he felt the destruction, he wasn't to the level of Rabbi Shimon. Nevertheless, he was punished for mourning on the day of Rabbi Shimon's passing away because he should have known better. He should have been happy on this day. An Indian from Rabbi Shimon, therefore we see that it's on one hand, Rabbi Shimon is higher than even the highest and the holiest of the pupils. On the other hand, we see that Rabbi Shimon is relevant to every single Jew. This is drawn down from the highest, even the highest levels that Rabbi Shimon says I was tied to in one bind with God, and also the levels which are the lowest. These two opposites we can also find by Rabbi Shimon in another thing, in learning Torah. It says by Rabbi Shimon that he learned Torah every single instant of his life. Lo mish sefer Torah zeh mipicha. And the Brisa it says that Rabbi Yishmael, he said that a person has to work in the world and do things, like it says. He said that Rabbi Yishmael said this sentence means that the words of Torah should never leave your mouth. It doesn't exactly mean that. It means that every opportunity that you have when you're not, you're not sleeping, when you're not, occupied in your business or something like that, then you should be learning Torah. Said Rebbe Yishmael, some people have to be farmers, some people have to be, businessmen, some people have to this. Then you can't be learning Torah. That a person has to learn the Torah only when he can. Rabbi Shimon said, no, that nobody should work. No one should work. You learn Torah, God will provide for everything. As Taka Midar, learning Torah, you have to learn Torah the whole entire day. You want to take a couple of minutes out to eat, to go to the bathroom, to sleep, to this. Okay, those are necessary things, but the very minimum, don't go working in your job. What is this working in your job? Plowing fields. Und wenn jeden tun that when Jews do what God wants, then God will provide others to do the work for them. No, that's what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said. The Gemara finishes and says a lot of people did like Rabbi Yishmael, and it worked. And a lot of people tried to do like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and it didn't work. They were just starving, and their wife was yelling at them, and it was terrible. Asachab and Gatan like Rabbi Yishmael, and etc., and it didn't work. Zedman, therefore, so we see, as their Seder learning Torah from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, this is higher than the world. And the world can't take such a order of life, of a way of living. Therefore, it says, "Oh, lo alta biyadam." It says that a lot of people decided they wanted to do like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and it just didn't work for them, right? They just ended up starving, and they were hungry, and then they didn't get married, or everything fell apart. We can't live a life like that. So Rabbi Shimon's Bar Yochai works for Rabbi Shimon. It works for him, but it won't work for others. From this figure, nevertheless, because Rabbi Shimon alone had zich alamol noegaven, he always did this way of higher than the world. So therefore, it says by Rabbi Shimon, Torato umanato. What was Rabbi Shimon's job? How did he make his money? He learned Torah. He learned Torah, and God provided for him. But when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son came out from the cave, and when they were 13 years, Vazayandik in the Mar, when they were there 12 years, Ubefrat, them writes in the 13th year, is Gavaldik Nis'ala Gavarim B'Torah. He was reached the highest levels of the Torah. I don't know if you know the story, but I'll tell you in a short way that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was very, very outspoken, and that he was speaking the other great leaders of the time, or even Rabbi Shimon, the Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. He said that the Romans aren't so bad. They make roads, they have marketplaces, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said they're infinitely bad. There's absolutely nothing good about them. That they made roads is only so that they can take taxes from us. That's what they have marketplaces in order so that they can put their prostitutes there, make money from us, and bring us down spiritually. He spoke bad about the Romans. He didn't keep quiet. Eventually, it got around to the Romans, and they ran after him to kill him. And he hid away for 1 year, it says, in a synagogue. And then he was afraid that they would catch on to him. So he went up, him and his son, Rabbi Eliezer, they went up into a cave in the mountains of Meron. They went up to the cave, and they hid away there for 12 years. They were afraid to go out. This says that a miracle happened, and a well sprung up, and there was a kerub tree that gave them food. 12 years they reached tremendously, tremendously high spiritual levels, to the degree that when they came out after 12 years, a bird came and told them that those who were pursuing them were all dead. So they came out, and they looked and they saw they had been learning Torah nonstop, every single instant of their lives. That's what they did. So they looked, and when they saw people working on the land, on the ground, so they looked and they said, "What is this?" And as soon as they would look, the people would burn up. The people would burn up. They were so holy, and they couldn't understand how are these people wasting their lives. They're working. And a voice came out from heaven and said, "You want to destroy my world? Go back into the cave and learn how to be normal." And they went back. It says Rabbi Shimon learned and Rabbi Eliezer didn't. So wherever they would come up, Rabbi Eliezer would look and it would burn up. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he would cure it back up. He would bring it back, put out the fire. So it says he was so tremendously high when he came out of that's where he wrote the Zohar also. So he said, even though he wrote the Zohar in a very short amount of time, says the Alter Rebbe, he wrote it just in a few months. It's called wherever Rabbi Eliezer looked and burned up, or whatever struck, is Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Umatum. For Rabbi Eliezer at Manish, wherever he looked and destroyed, as Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, he not only would punish everybody, but he would heal them and bring them back. The reason was this. Why? Because he explained that the olam ein dai laolam ani v'ata unzer esek and Torah. He said, is as dai laolam ani v'ata. His son said, "What are you doing, Dad? I mean, these people are wasting all their time. All the Jews should be learning the Torah all the time." And he said, "It's enough for the world, just me and you. Our devotion to learning Torah, that's good enough. Just like all the houses don't have to be a holy temple. One place is the holy temple. Me and you are the holy temple. Unzer esek Torah, we're learning Torah, that should be enough." But even more, we find that Rabbi Shimon said that if a person is not able to learn the Torah, so we see that Rabbi Shimon is very lenient on other people. Even more, Rabbi Shimon said if a person can only just read Kriya Shema in the morning and the evening, then he has fulfilled this level of lo yamish, that the Torah is in his mouth constantly. In other words, he says words of Torah 1 minute of the day, 2 minutes of the day, and the rest of all the other 24 hours and in 59 minutes, he's not saying words of Torah. But if he said Shema Yisrael, that's good enough. If that's all he can do, then that's good enough. As their ikr, that the main thing is the main thing of Shema Yisrael is Shema. This is only the first sentence, as therefore he fulfilled this thing of the Torah is in your mouth. In other words, the time when Rabbi Akiva, the time when a person cannot learn Torah the whole entire day, whether it's because he has to work at something else, or maybe he just doesn't know how to learn. So therefore, he says he's exempt from learning Torah. There's nothing wrong with it. He's fulfilled his obligation to be learning the Torah all the time. From where? This is the power of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai is drawn from the highest levels where he is, down to the lowest level, even the most simple people, that he says even these people have the level of lo yamish Torah. So we see on one hand that the Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was the highest and the holiest of all, and on the other hand, we saw that he brought this holiness down to the lowest and the lowest of all. It says, Rabbi Shimon even said that I am able to exempt the whole entire world from any sort of judgment. That Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was he learned on the whole entire generation, that he said that was the inner Torah that he had the ability, just he alone that had it was enough to find, the justification and find merit, learn about the Jewish people, because nevertheless Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai had drawn down this holy level even to these people. That's the whole idea nowadays, the importance of drawing down as secrets of the Torah. That's the idea of Chassidut Chabad, taking the ideas of the Zohar of Rabbi Shimon and explaining them. It says that this is what the Moshiach told the Baal Shem Tov: when your teachings are spread out, then Moshiach will come. It all depends on joining these two opposites together. On one hand, the highest of the high, the Moshiach himself will teach Torah even to the Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and even to Moshe, because he will be, and on the same time, he will teach the most simple of simple people, like it says, Shofei B'Tzedek Dalim, that he will find merit even in the people who are poor, even people that are spiritually poor. And this is the whole idea of, we have to prepare our generation. Because our generation, by teaching the inside ideas of the Torah, just like Rebbe Shimon said, that in the generation of the Moshiach, that even children will know the deepest secrets and the penimius of the ideas of the Torah and all of the commandments. And by means of this, of the Torah of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, as it says, it's Rabbi Shimon can be relied on in desperate times. That's like it says in the books, that in the time when there was any sort of difficulty, that you could rely on Rabbi Shimon, and in the merit of Rabbi Shimon, that he said he will exempt the world from any sort of negative judgments. As Elijah the prophet said to Rabbi Shimon, "B'hai chibura dalach," with this book of yours, Yivkon Bey Mina Galuta Barachim, the Jewish people will go out of the exile in great mercy, that the whole entire world, in the entire world will be drawn this revelations of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, because he explained the creator's creating everything. Like we just finished learning in the other mimer, put the alef into the gola. The alef are the secrets of the Torah, the inside, the pella of the Torah of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And this will be drawn down into the whole entire world. Like it says, at Ruach Hatuma Avir Min Haaretz, that there won't be any more egotism and selfishness and destruction in the world, anywhere in the world. That the world will be a place, a dwelling place for the creator of the universe. That then the world will be really a truly happy place. People will be able to express all of their potential. Like it says, the land of Israel will spread out all over the whole world. The whole world will be a holy place, namely a dwelling for the creator of the world, and all because of the teachings of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And that's why this day is such a happy one. Have a good day and happy Lag BaOmer. Tomorrow, I don't think there'll be a class in the morning. And God willing, next week, there'll be regular classes with the regular code to get in. And God bless you all. Yechi Melech, what the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach should reveal to himself right now, immediately, to take us out of all this darkness and confusion to a happy, blessed, brilliant, healthy, and holy world. Have a good day. Lag BaOmer Sameach. Shabbat Shalom to everyone.